Well, hello and welcome to day 4 of Startup Week Online, where today's theme is growing and scaling. So this day is all about helping you think about taking things to the next level, and whatever level that might be for you. So, okay, you might already be up and running in business, or you might still just be at the thinking stage. But how do you take things to the next level? By improving your systems and processes, how to do better sales, marketing, and business development, personal development, mindset, leadership, all that good stuff. So yeah, we've got loads of great speakers as usual. I'm wearing, if you can see, I'm wearing the Newcastle Scale Up Summit t-shirt. So some of you will know that the very first year we did the Startup Week event, the 5-day event, we had the same theme. So inspiration, getting started, funding and finance, growing and scaling, and then keep going or pivot. And then what we found was slightly different audiences were coming to each of the days, which is what we expected. But day 4, the growing and scaling day, we had a lot of established SMEs, a lot of owner manager businesses who were coming along to that event because they were doing pretty well for themselves, but often they were a bit stuck, didn't know how to take things to the next level. Particularly owner manager businesses where they were still very heavily involved in the day-to-day running of the business, or often actually getting their hands dirty and doing the work rather than thinking more strategically. So because we saw a lot of people like that coming to day 4, 6 months later, we did another event, a 1-day event, which was the Newcastle Scale Up Summit, which was a great event where I think we had 175 people came to that day, which we did down at the Live Theatre on the Quayside. And then 6 months later, we did the 5-day event again, the 5-day Startup Week event. But day 4, we badged that up as the Newcastle Scale Up Summit. So it was like an event within an event. So Startup Week Scale Up Summit. And we did the same again last year. But now that we're doing the online events, I've gone back to just calling it Newcastle Startup Week or just Startup Week Online. And day 4 is the growing and scaling day. Anyway, on to what's happening today. Well, firstly, thanks again to everyone who's here, who's watching all the videos. It's really great to see you. And I can say a lot of people were watching some of the videos on the replay last night and commenting, which is really cool. Loads of great content. Some of you will know that probably the easiest way to catch up on anything that you've missed, if you're on a laptop or a PC, if you go to the media tab at the top of the Facebook group, and you can see in the videos everything's in chronological order. So the one that's in the top left hand corner is the most recent one. So you can work your way back or from the start of each of the days that way. If you're on a tablet or a mobile device, for some reason the tab is just called Photos. So even though the videos are in there, you have to go in that way. So that's just probably the quickest and easiest way to work your way through everything that's already happened if you missed it. Also, at the top of the Facebook group, I'm posting announcements. So there's 2 announcements in there. One is introduce yourself. So lots of people have already done that. They've introduced themselves and who they are, what they do, what help, advice or support they might need. And really lovely to see everyone interacting in there and helping each other and signposting each other and giving each other words of encouragement, which is what this is all about. There's another announcement in there every day or the night before. I'm posting the schedule for the day to come. So you can go in there and you can see all the speakers and all the times of who's to come. And then at the end of each day, when I'm doing the closing remarks, what I'm doing is I'm going back in and I'm posting direct links to each of the content. So if you want to see it, if you want to go back. So the different ways to find it, but if that's not clear, then just ask and I'll point you in the right direction. But I think going to the media tab or the photos tab is probably the quickest and the easiest way to find things. So soon I'm going to be joined by Hilary Dunne, who some of you will know. Hilary is an amazing woman, amazing events organizer, events producer, events director. She's got over 20 years experience in the events industry. And last year, when we did the 5-day Startup Week event, the physical event, Hilary worked alongside me on organising that and pulling that all together and did an absolutely amazing job, and loved working with Hilary on that. So her background is events, so everything from celebrity kids' birthday parties to the biggest award ceremonies and conferences and festivals. Loads of experience doing that. But also she has a speaker bureau as well. So she has some really experienced speakers, event speakers, public speakers, but also new and aspiring speakers. And she also has her own Facebook groups where she gives away lots of tips and advice for anyone who wants to get into public speaking or wants to grow their personal brand. So Hilary's going to be joining me in about 5 minutes. I can see her waiting backstage, so I'm not going to bring her in yet, but she's waving at me, so I think she can see me. So Hilary's going to talk about how everybody can create their own brand activation easily and cheaply. So check that out. That's in about 5 minutes. After that, got a short video from Colin Bell, who was the Business Growth Director at the Northeast Local Enterprise Partnership, just talking about the new High Potential Startups program. The next cohort is about to begin. So if anyone is in a pre-start phase, they haven't started a business yet, or they haven't taken any money for the business yet in the very early stages, but they have real ambition to have £1 million turnover business. I think that's the criteria. You need to have ambition to create £1 million turnover business within a few years. They have a program where I'll give you coaching, mentoring, introductions to investors and funders, and a little bit of cash as well in the form of a grant as well. So that's worth looking at if you really do think you've got a big idea that can hit those heights. Tim Elliott is back again. We've got a great little presentation from him on how great brands grow on purpose. So helping you think about what is my purpose, or what is my business's purpose, and because the brands with a strong purpose tend to perform better than those that are just selling widgets. Helen Truman Howe is the founder of Heels and Brogues Group. She's going to be joining me later in a live stream on how to build your network and create new opportunities for yourself and others through it. So the power of networking and building, again, I guess, building your own personal brand and your own trust, because if people know, like, and trust you, then they're more likely to want to do business with you. But how do you do that in a way that's of mutual benefit? Declan Baharini, Director of International Newcastle, talking on how to develop and promote Newcastle's credentials as a truly international city for both individuals and businesses. Louise Doyle, founder and CEO of Mesmer, on what T-levels are, industry placements, and how they can help your business or organization grow. So it's a new qualification, and how you might want to take on a placement and use that to grow your business. Victoria Fleming from Buzztastic on how to sell more and better even during the COVID lockdown. So she's done a great presentation, but I'm also hoping that she's going to join me for a little live Q&A as well at some point. Charlotte Winderbank, Managing Director and co-founder of First, and Vincent Efferoth, who's the Managing Director and co-founder of Tea Venture Limited. You might know they're behind an amazing alcoholic tea brand called Novel Tea. So he's going to talk about the journey from startup to scale up with Novel Tea. And I think Amar is going to join us as well at some point with another talk on scaling up your business. So loads coming up, lots of interaction. If you've got any questions at any point, either post them underneath this video or any of the other videos that or the live streams that happen throughout the day. So that's taken me nicely up to 10 past 10. So I think she's ready. If she's ready, I'm going to bring her in. Are you ready, Hilary? Give me a little wave if you're ready. Yeah, she's ready. Okay, here we go. Hilary.
Morning.
Morning.
Did you mean ready? Like, am I up out of bed and dressed?
Well, just your top off. Just your top off.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I know you've been dipping in and out. You've seen a little bit of what's going on, but yes. So what have you been up to?
Just really busy. The events industry is coming back, slowly for sure, but the advancements in the virtual platforms has been absolutely fantastic. You know, thinking about that these developers have had literally 4 to 5 months to try and come up with a solution that would get the events industry back on its feet and able to produce fantastic events. Some of the platforms that have been developed are just absolutely brilliant, and a lot of them are add-ons to event software that's already out there, so it's a bolt-on that you can purchase. So that's all exciting. Obviously it's all, you know, trial and testing at the moment, which is quite good fun, because we're all in the same boat, aren't we? We're all trial and testing and trying to get through, and there's a lot of patience out there in the industry as well at the moment, which is great, you know, and people understand that it's taken a little bit more time to get products to market, to get speakers on the stages, you know, to be able to bring in sponsorship, to be able to sell tickets and those sorts of things. They're going to take a little bit of time, but things are starting to move in the right direction from that perspective, and that's because of people's momentum, and that's because of willpower and a want to be able to get on and get back into business.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. So because even firstly, I didn't feel like I could ask sponsors to get involved. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be able to do. You know, even like the online events, great as they are, and like you know, the speakers are amazing, the content's amazing, but it's still not as tangible as a room full of like 800 people, or what, you know, where you can see all these people, and so I think there's still that mindset for some of the organizations that they don't necessarily want to put money into online virtual events, or even people not wanting to buy tickets for online virtual events.
And that's really, but I think, Paul, where we come in as marketeers, and we're going to talk about brand activation a bit, and it's about where we've got to get really creative about thinking about what it is that we can add to the event, what extra experience can we give, what bolt-ons can we give, what better experience and teach or lead or opportunity for people to work with people that they maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to work with before. So, you know, a bit of that sort of meet the buyer type thing in events. What is it that we can put a platform together for that are going to give people that opportunity that's more than just the live environment of watching the keynote on the stage, delivering that talk?
Yeah. One thing, after doing the event in May, and I've kept obviously the Start of Week community Facebook group going since then. One thing I thought in May is like it seems more intimate, because you're close to people, you're seeing people's faces, and also the interaction and, you know, the comments and underneath the live streams and the pre-recorded videos as well. People are commenting and they're interacting with each other in a way that maybe if it was a live event, they don't get an opportunity to ask those questions because the speakers are on stage. There is that kind of artificial divide, you know, between the audience and they don't get a chance to speak to the speakers or even the event organizers. You know what it's like when we're rushing around and trying to you got
don't know what you mean.
You're just dead calm all the time. You're a calm man.
It's just my poker face.
But yeah, so I think that's interesting. And then the other thing I was thinking actually yesterday is some of the people that I'm doing live streams with seem a lot more relaxed doing this than they would be if they were doing a talk at an event, because they're, I don't know why, maybe just because they feel like they're just talking to me. And I think one thing I'm quite good at is putting people at ease and making them relaxed. And I'm talking, whereas if it's, you know, yourself, if you're like, okay, what's the audience like? What's the light like? Are the slides going to work? How do I get to the stage? Is the mic work? All that sort of stuff. There's a lot to think of, whereas this is a lot more, it's just straight in.
Absolutely. And I think by default, we're all creating our own sort of VIP tribes, if you like, where you're attracting the people that, you know, really want to hear from you, want to hear from the speakers. They like what you've got to say. They want to learn more. They want to collaborate with other people in the group because they've got like-minded interests, clearly, around the entrepreneur space, around scaling up. And that might be because they're, you know, a part of the business community already up here in the Northeast. But the power of social media and the way that we're interacting now means that we can reach far more people far quicker, and we can help them by growing their networks so much easier. so much easier than ever before.
Yeah.
It's we're in a powerful position, to be fair.
No, it is
very powerful.
Like you say, I think if you it's forcing people to be a bit more creative, because I suppose the only thing is like everybody seems to be doing stuff now, don't they? Like,
it's a busy marketplace,
but it's noisy as well. Like everybody's doing live stream, everybody's doing videos, everybody's doing podcasts, it's kind of like, I was thinking this the other day, it's almost like because some people are in survival mode, they're in sales mode, they're full on, like everyone's pushing their thing and not necessarily buying or contributing or supporting existing things. That's how I feel. Like not everybody, but a lot of people are selling themselves or pushing out of necessity or maybe desperation, do you know what I mean? But whether they'll keep that up, whether they'll keep the momentum up, because it's not everyone can do that, and some people will lose interest and they'll move on to something else. But the people who are like really committed to certain things will keep doing it.
But the trick with that, Paul, is that the people that are doing that and are selling or trying to sell, they need to have a really engaged audience. Audiences aren't stupid. They need to know, like, and trust whoever's selling before they even think about buying a product from them. There's got to be some rapport there. They've got to see, what the benefits of buying that product are. And that takes time, unless you are a very well-known personality, who's out there already, really well known in the space, and you come out with a product that everybody just wants to have that. But otherwise, you really do need to nurture your people. If you're doing that online, you need to, nurture pages and groups, and it takes time. You've got to be giving really good advice. You need to be able to back that up with some expert speakers, testimonials. You really need to be building that credibility before you can expect people to buy, because the worst thing that can happen is that somebody does buy, you've not built up that experience, that credibility, it's all going to fall flat. It'll just fall flat. It's just not going to stack up.
Yeah, because I do see some people putting out really good quality content, like the quality of the video or the podcast is really high, but they have no audience. They've got like maybe 100 followers or something. It's like, well, you put all that effort into that, but maybe you would be better like being part of something that already exists and contributing to that, riding on the success of that. Obviously, I'm thinking people got like not a week, like if they got involved in this, there's already a ready-made audience and a platform that they could be part of, rather than wanting to do their own thing and not. I'm not saying they won't get anywhere, but like some people feeling like they have to, because it is very hard, like not only producing the content, but building the audience and marketing to that, and if you don't have any experience or credibility or track record as well,
it's relentless. It absolutely is. But then that's an opportunity for you, Paul, to be able to sell the benefits of people partnering with you. So have you got a benefits package together yet?
Do you think I have?
Let's book a call.
Go on then.
You need a brand activation, mate. This is it. This is your brand activation. You're in it now.
I'm already activated. I just need to detonate. I don't know. Accelerate. I don't know. Well, that's what today's all about. So go on then. So talk about your. I gave you a bit of an intro about who you are and what you do, but you suggested the title of how anybody can. What did you say?
Should we talk about brand activation?
Yeah, so how everyone can do their own brand activation easily and quickly.
Yeah, sure. Because I think people overlook this. But so a brand activation is basically a PR stunt in its broadest form. That's what a brand activation is. And it's really about how you can interact with your customer in maybe a fun way or an educational way to get them to buy from you and to become loyal to your brand, to get to see the other side of your brand, really to become a follower, become a lover of your brand. How can you do that? And there are some really simple things that people can do. I mean, one of my biggest bugbearers is going to an exhibition and watching exhibitors who just stand by their pull-up stand, or even worse, sit at their stand, have some leaflets out on the table or in their hand, and just sort of expecting people to come up to them and, say, what is it you do? How can I find out more? I'm interested in purchasing your product. What is it that you do? So many people just don't do that. They're just standing stuck on the stand because they've been told to stand there for the day. And it's about,
they're talking to each other as well.
Yeah. Or they're on the phone, or they're on the laptop looking busy. So it's about what can you do? So let's think about Newcastle Startup Week when it was in its live environment. What could people do there to activate their brand? So Paul, you and I both know that your main sponsor did a great brand activation on their stand. They had a big snakes and ladders game that really brought people to them. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It just needs to be a bit different and a little bit quirky. So another example of this is when I started my family events business 14 years ago now. I was looking at, I just started the business, and I was looking to put on children's parties and events to get started with, and then with a plan that I would go into the corporate from that once we'd got some experience behind us. So I needed to get, obviously, parties and events to do. So it just so happened that one day I was at the local park in Darlington with my kids in the summer, and the kids were queuing to get onto the play frames and equipment and all this sort of stuff at the park. And it just really struck me that there was an opportunity here for me, that if I brought some of my staff down, face painters, balloon modelers, entertainers, bouncy castle slide, those bits and pieces, if I could get the opportunity to come down here and show people what I could do all for free, perhaps this would be a great way for me to give out my leaflets and for people to see what we did and who we are and chat to us. So I went back home, and I got the council's number for the park, spoke to the park warden, asked him, told him about my idea and what I could do, and said, you've got a problem in the play park. People are queuing, and people are leaving the park because they can't get on the equipment. I can bring some stuff down. So I had to obviously go through insurance deets and all that type of thing with them, risk assessments and all that. And a day later, I had my team, and we were there in the park. And for 3 to 4 weeks, we were absolutely booked solid with people coming to see us because they wanted to, do something with the kids. They wanted them to be able to play on the bouncy castle. Mums and dads wanted to just sit and watch. They wanted the kids to have their face painted. And we did it all for free. My team were absolutely amazing. They all looked great. Some were in costume, some were in staff uniform. Parents spoke to me, and I was booked for 6 months solid off the back of that. And that cost me a bit of time. Just the balls to go and speak to the council to ask them if this was something I could do, and come up with the idea myself, get some leaflets created. And that's what we did, and we created bookings and business off the back of that. I've worked with organisations where we've done stunts like roll 6 dice to win a brand new car, because that was something that we wanted to do to get the promotion of a new vehicle marketed in the area. So we did a nice big promotion around that. I've done all sorts of PR stunts and things to get people interested in a brand, whether that's giving coffees, teas out, whether or not that's putting on a nice VIP evening where you're wining and dining your prospective customers or your key customers. There's all sorts of things that you can do. I've been at wedding fairs where I've watched the cake bakers, the wedding cake people, just sitting behind a stand, just expecting those beautiful cakes just to sell themselves. But I've worked with people who I've got them to bring the ingredients down, show them in big kiln jars, demonstrate making the cake up, talk about how they do the icing, do icing demo, so people can see how much detail, work and effort go into a wedding cake. Get people to feel, try, trust your product. That's what a brand activation is. And I think of, a major brand activation, in my opinion, in the Northeast is the Great North Run. The Great North Run is there to raise thousands and thousands of pounds for charity. They team that with getting people fit people, looking after people's well-being, with them running the Great North Run. But you can see there's a reason why the Great North Run happens, and that's to raise money for charity. So there are loads of things that people can do. You know, you can be at an exhibition and you could bring in some, if say you've got a product aimed at females, for instance, you could have a nail bar there giving complimentary nail treatments, for instance. You could have a yoga session going on. You could have relaxation sessions going on. They might not be associated with your brand, but you're giving a nice experience to your customers and clients. So there are lots of things that you can do. You can be really clever and quirky. You can be really fun. We've done balloon rides. We've given holidays away. Done all sorts of things to just gain that customer attraction.
Yeah, no, I love it, because I mean, a lot of that doesn't, well, like you say, it doesn't have to be expensive, but just thinking a bit more creatively and in a bit more of a fun way, giving people, like you say, a bit more of an experience. Because you go to exhibitions or conferences and it's just a pop-up stand with like some leaflets, and sometimes that's fine. But then the ones that put a bit more effort in and a bit more of an experience, or even people so they can watch videos or they can see things happening on the stand without going up to the people that
stand back. They're gonna bite.
But because you see that, you know, people are just like walking around trying to suss out and if they can't immediately see what you're offering, they'll walk on. And I love that, the idea of doing the face painting and stuff for the kids queue. It's so obvious, but it's a captive audience.
Well, off the back of that, a bit later, I was talking to somebody else, and they were starting up a PT company, personal training company, and they were really struggling. They were really struggling to get people in. There were a lot of people going to gyms instead, and he said that was the biggest problem. His competition with the gyms. So I said, well, why don't you just set up in the park? It's free. Go to the park. Market that you're going to do some training sessions, get the people that come to your training sessions to share what you're doing and how different it is, and you're out in the fresh air and you're doing some quirky things with that, and you're using different equipment. You know, you could be like climbing trees, whatever it is, to be seen that you're making use of the park. It could be laps around the lake, it could be, you know, whatever you need to do. You could have banners up there, you know, bring flags with you on a morning, put up, put down, all that type of thing. So they went off and did that. And they've since grown their gym business, and it's gone really, really well for them. And they've got a number of PTs now on it. And that's how it started, free in the park.
Love it. So putting you on the spot here, who do you think's doing it well? Can you think of anyone that's doing that sort of stuff well?
I think Greg's did a brilliant brand activation a few years ago when they were launching their later hours, launching that they were going to be running later, opening longer. And they joined up with Your Table, I think it was, the booking app. And people could book in for a fine dining experience. Obviously, it was pasties or sausage rolls, but it was the quirkiness of it, which gave them great media. And then not long after, when they launched their vegan sausage roll, because they were known by the media already, it only took for Piers Morgan to pick that up, and that was it. It just skyrocketed, didn't it? But that was a great brand activation. Another great brand activation that people don't sort of maybe think about as a brand activation is Only Fools and Horses, in my opinion, because Only Fools and Horses for that yellow reliant robin. Everywhere around the world will know of Only Fools and Horses. And it was because it had that, apart from the great story and the wonderful characters, that Robin Reliant just featured so heavily, didn't it, in the whole of that brand. They were known for that brand. So there's been some really good brand activations.
Greg's is a great example because they don't take themselves too seriously. That's what I like. Like, it's a little bit of a nudge and a wink with their marketing. Like, the online marketing is like when they did the vegan sausage roll, it was like, it looked like an Apple product, like the way it was like almost fetishized. They kind of thought about the length and the kind of all the the dimensions of it and the ingredient. It was just ridiculous the way they did it. But then on the online stuff, and then when they launched it, and they have queues out the door, like people going at night and going in, and then like it feels like a VIP launch. That
Exactly.
it's ridiculous, but it fits with their brand. That it's like cheap and cheerful, and like no one pretends that Greg's is.
Yeah.
Like
I could see, it's about having fun. It's about having fun with your marketing. It's about enjoying the marketing experience that you're putting out there for people. You want them to come back with, you want them to enjoy it, don't you? You want them to get the experience of that was fun. I enjoyed that. That's a great brand to be associated with. Even just, the giving away free coffees, giving away free cookies. The gifting service, the whole industry at the minute is booming. People are sending all sorts of things to their customers, to their associates. There's so many products out there, from jewelry to nice toiletries, to candles, to cookies, to dinners out. There's all sorts of things that you could do. And interestingly, Tim Ward had put on that he was interested in listening to this morning. He put a post on LinkedIn, so I don't know if he's listening. But Tim, I was thinking about you, because obviously you're bid and research, aren't you? And I'm thinking that you could do something around a brand activation which has got something to do with confetti cannons, champagne, celebration. There's something really cool that you can do, because the experience of working with Tim is a bid writer that when they do a great job for you, then you're going to win some work off the back of it. You're going to have been, successful in that bid if you've had Tim and his team working on it. So I'm sure Tim could come up with some type of celebration package, which would really get his prospect companies interested. It just brings attention, doesn't it? It just makes attention. Be different. Don't be afraid to be different.
No, that's a good shout. I don't know if he's watching it, but there's lots of people watching and commenting at the minute. But I'm sure you will watch it, because he's got a new business, or I think it's a new business, but it's related to what he's got called Opportunity, and it's AI powered.
Right.
And the research, it's like a platform that you can register on, and it'll find the right tenders for you. So I think that's what it's needing help with, trying to understand how to brand and market that. The other thing I did research, Nigel Risner was.
Oh, I know Nigel.
But Nigel was brilliant on Monday. So he joined me for a live stream. Amazing. Obviously, you know how good he is. But he was talking about someone sending him some chocolate, and they sent him like a book. And then when you opened the book, it was cut out, and there was a bar of chocolate inside. And so he's still talking about that now. And so that was really nice. And another one who I know you know really well on your speaker bureau is so Jeff Ram. You do a lot of work with Jeff.
Did you say Sir Jeff? Did you just call him Sir Jeff?
No.
Oh,
I don't know. I said Nigel and Jeff, you know really well, and you've done lots of work with.
Yeah.
But Jeff, I think, is very good at sending out cards and thank you cards and little. He sent an early Christmas card a few months ago with a big box of chocolates as well, and it's probably doesn't cost that much to do, but you remember he's the only speaker that I know that has done that as a thank you gesture. So
be memorable. That's what it's about, isn't it? That's what brand activation is about. The Co-op, if you remember the Co-op, they did the very first pop-up major supermarket at Glastonbury, and they've went on to do other pop-ups around the place. They're taking their product out into the marketplace and offering a great service. So think about how you can do that in your business. How can you take an element out of your business and take it to your people? And that might just be gifting, like I said. So I've just looked as you were talking there on my desk, right? You think I've made this up, but I haven't. Ow! I've been sent this as a gift.
Wow.
I've been sent that.
Mm-hmm.
It's still full as a gift. I've been sent that.
Oh, nice.
See how people send things to be rememberable and just to keep in touch, really. It's just a touch point.
Yeah.
So a brand activation can be as little as sending a small bottle of wine in a box, in a nice box, just to say, hi, how are you doing? Miss you, looking forward to catching up. Maybe we can catch up over a glass of wine. Just a nice little touch like that you could do with a customer or a prospect or an old supplier, whatever it is, people in your network. Just think a little bit deeper, and you can do more creative stuff if you want to. You can put money behind it. There are things you can do, and I'm always about, contact me via Paul or whatever if you want to chat through an idea, or you want some ideas. Just give me a shout.
Yeah, well, we'll post a link to your website, obviously, underneath the video. But so do you want to talk a little bit about public speaking as well? And if someone wants to activate their own personal brand, not just the company brand, but good point. And speaking is obviously an absolutely brilliant way, and it's a free way to be able to become more visible, to activate your brand. People buy off people, especially if you are the founder or the leader in your company. Speaking is an absolutely brilliant way to get out there and get known, and to pick up media attention. That's what you're doing. So don't overlook that opportunity that's there. You don't need to speak on a stage to 1,000 people in a packed auditorium if that's where you don't want to be. You don't need to do that. Paul and I talked right at the beginning of this conversation about the power of online now and social communities and building tribes and businesses online. You could be talking within groups on platforms all over the world very quickly and very easily, and you could do that for free. What you need to do, obviously, is determine who it is you want to reach. Be really clear on who that ideal client is and niche down on that. Spend some time, if you haven't done so yet, spend some time figuring out who it is that you want to be talking to on the other side of that screen. What's the message that you're wanting to convey? What's your story? So why can you speak on that topic? What's your authority? What's your experience in that area that makes you able to talk with confidence and be able to maybe give advice as well? So you need to have a think about those things. Once you've started to sort of craft that story, started to pull that together, and as I say, bring in all the elements that make it unique to you and why you can be doing it. So that's your background, your experience, your testimonials and things like that. And then get on and give it a go. Practice and get out there and do that. Yeah, no, that's good. I know that there's obviously with your speaker bureau, you do a lot of work to get paid speaking gigs for your bureau, but also there's a lot of value sometimes in doing stuff for free, to get your name out there and get your brand out there. So something I've noticed, there's a lot of people want to be public speakers, but they want to go from 0 to 100, or they want to be like straight away, they want to get paid for the speaking gigs. And so you need to, I feel like people almost need to earn their stripes first, they need to get out there and get practice and like do stuff for free. Especially if they've got a product or a service to sell, because it's different if you're a professional speaker. Like Jeff Ram is a professional speaker. He doesn't really have a product to sell. He is the product. So, and Brad Burton, he for a while was a professional speaker. That was his only way of making money. Now he's gone back to networking, so he's running that as well. So, do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, firstly, I would never say that having the opportunity to speak is, if you do it for free, you're losing out. Because having the opportunity to speak on somebody else's stage can be worth its weight in gold, because of the opportunity to speak to that audience, because of the media that you could potentially drive from the back of it, because of the testimonial that you can get, and because of the PR coverage that you can then create for yourself off the back of it. So I do come across a lot of people that have been speaking and speaking for free and feel that they need to now get paid for speaking, but actually they're not quite right for the paid speaker market. Yet speaking will generate them income. It'll just come at them another way. So for instance, I work with a lot of people that develop products off the back of their speaking. So that's books, courses, masterminds, retreats, that sort of thing. It also helps them with building their own content to then move that on to newer content as they take that forward as well. So if you get the opportunity to speak and you develop it, it's really important that you try and develop it and move it on, because you need to keep engaging with potentially that audience. So how can you deliver further products for them? So speaking is another marketing tactic. That's what it is, for sure. Yeah. And for those speakers that are full-time professional paid speakers, they have made that their full-time occupation, and they don't tend to do other things so much as well as that, if you see what I mean. They're quite often full-time, earning fantastic wages at the top of the game, but they're in that full-time space, and they have crafted that and they have worked at that for a number of years to be able to be in a position to make that happen.
Yeah. I think I've talked to you before about, there's a guy called Mike Southern. He had a book out called The Beer Mats Entrepreneur.
Yes.
And so he's obviously he's got books that people can buy, but I was always impressed with him, like that he still gets coached on how to improve because he's such a great speaker, but he doesn't just rest on his laurels. He's always trying to make it better. But it's like he's talking, he's singing, there's music, there's all kinds of craziness going on. But like if you saw him, you think, well, that's perfect. You don't need to change that. But he's always trying to make it better. So he's always working on his craft, because he's decided he's going to be a speaker, just like Jeff. He's a speaker, so that's what he's doing, and he's always trying to hone that and improve it. He's not just rocking up and just doing the same stuff every time, or maybe like a stand-up comedian, you have your set and you nail that, and you test it, you road test it until and every line, every word counts, and then next day you might have a different talk. But
yeah, absolutely, because you want to be able to engage with that audience, so you've got to craft that. You want to inspire the audience, you want to motivate the audience, you might want to make them laugh, you might want to make them squeal, whatever it is, you want that audience reaction. So it's really important that you've really trialed and tested the content that you're doing. I also want to quickly pick up on podcasts, because obviously they've just boomed, haven't they? And that's another brilliant opportunity for anybody interested in speaking, sharing their story, sharing their expertise, whatever it is you're wanting to share through the power of your story. Podcasts are a brilliant way, and there's just springing up every single day. I'm seeing new podcasts coming up. So, they're always looking for contributors. So do have a look at the podcasts that are out there.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few people in the group who have their own podcast, but Ian Farah, who's commenting here, he's been consistently brilliant. I think he's up to, you've corrected us, it's definitely up to 170 odd or something episodes. He's way up there, but he's just been consistently putting out really high quality podcasts with great guests from the UK and US, and he's got a really good audience here in the UK and US. So that's what he does. He's got his other business, Far North, where he does marketing consultancy and digital marketing, social media consultancy and training, and now podcast training, because he's earned his stripes. He can point people to that bank of content that he's done. So when you think of podcast, who's doing it well in the Northeast? Ian is right up there, definitely. So I would encourage people to check out how he does it. But people have their own style. I mean, I've got my own. I've only done 7 episodes. One of them you're on it, and you do an excellent interview on that. So I'd encourage people to check out the Super Connected podcast. Again, I'll put a link underneath. But I've actually just about to upload another 11 episodes. So they're actually audio from interviews that I did in the Startup Week event in May. But some of them were so good, we've turned them into podcasts. And Tim Lazinski, who I think is in here as well, he's got his own podcast studio on Pink Lane, opposite the train station, right next to Greg's. And that's where we do to record the podcast. So he's got a proper studio, all the equipment. So yes, you can do it on your own, but I like doing it at his studio because then the guests can come in, and I know that the time it would take me to edit it down and get it right, I'd rather just pay Tim to do it. Because he's going to get the levels all right. It's going to be really produced well and fast turnaround as well. So
yeah, brilliant. And Ian would be a brilliant contact for people in here to be able to go to see whether or not their content would be of interest for Ian to put on his show.
Don't say that. I think he doesn't want lots of people getting in touch with him wanting to be on his show, because I think he does get lots of people saying, hey, I'll be on your show and I'll be a great guest. And he'd be like, which episode have you listened to? They've not listened to any. They've seen that he's a well-known and got loads of, and they're just. So that's another thing. Like,
you have to do your research, though. It's really important. It's no good somebody rocking up and approaching somebody's podcast if they've got there's no synergy between what you're going to say and what their topic is. It just doesn't work. You have to do your research. Don't just think because you want to speak that you can just go and speak anywhere and it'll resonate with everybody. So it's back to that niche. You've got to niche down.
Yeah, and I think, again, kind of earning your stripes a little bit, because I know last year, I usually pick all the speakers myself because they're based on either people in my existing network, or I've seen them speak, or I know that they're really experts in their fields. And I do take recommendations, but it's usually I choose the speakers. But last year, I think it was, I thought, I'll just open it out, crowdsource it, and I put something on Facebook and a few different groups. I was like, has anyone got any recommendations? Who would they love to see speak at the start of the week? And I had people saying things like, oh, my mate Jackie, she's dead funny. We could get her on. It's like, there was loads. Me, I'm a great speaker. I'm dead funny, me. And it's like, right, I'm getting a lot of that. And then I replied, I was like, oh, thanks for all the suggestions. Here's an image and a video of what Startup Week looks like.
Yeah.
Just because I was like, you've got no idea like what the scale of this event is, and you say, oh, my mate Jackie down the bottom.
Jackie. I like it. But that's where you need to be putting out, exactly who you want on that lineup and that show, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. So you're feeling good about events?
Yeah, you've got to. You know what I mean. We can either sit and wallow, right, and we can just think, oh God, I'll wait until everybody else starts to do things, and I'll when I'm told I can get back on, I'll get back on with it. But business is still happening. All right, it's different from how it has been, and it'll be different going forward again. And what was normal a few months ago won't be like that for a long time now. But people do still need to interact. People do need to still learn. People do want to be inspired. They want to be motivated. They want help. They want to crack on with the businesses. Like many of us who are running limited companies, probably not received any sort of payment other than loans to go out. So, we're not the sort of people that just want to close our businesses and go and hide under a stone. We've got to keep moving forward. And as I say, the advancements certainly from the events perspective in the online platforms that are starting to, happen now. I mean, Zoom has been absolutely brilliant. It's been a godsend, hasn't it? We're all on Zoom all the time. It's like, it's easier than picking up a phone these days. And I think we've had more face-to-face interaction with people than we probably ever had, to be honest with you. We're not having to travel as much, so we're not wasting time, and we're not, it's really sustainable what we're doing as well. So it's a perfect time. People are at home, they're around, they're happy to chat, they're happy to look at collaboration opportunities. So use these time to think about, from a marketing perspective, what can you be doing to activate your brand, whether that's, as I say, sending a small gift out to some clients, whether that's planning something down the line for the future that you want to do. There are things that you can be doing that are just a bit special, a bit unique, a bit clever, a bit funny, lighten the mood, just get in touch with people.
Yeah, no, I love it. I definitely think because everything is online now, if you got something real through the post, it would really stand out. I mean, even before the lockdown, if I got a handwritten letter from someone, or even just a typed letter or a card, that stands out because you hardly ever get anything through the post these days. It's not a bill or a job bill. So yeah, something nice, thoughtful,
something personal. Yeah, just have a think about what it is you could do.
Okay. Cool. So we'll share a link underneath, but you've got some good resources on your website as well, haven't you? And
yes, bits and pieces.
Yeah. And do you want to say about your Facebook group?
Yeah. So a couple of things on my website. I obviously, as Paul alluded to, we're event management. That's what we do. But we also have a speaker bureau as part of the business. I've worked with so many big speakers, amazing speakers over the years, like Jeff, like Nigel, loads of people. And it just made sense to me when I set up the business to see whether or not they would be interested in coming into my bureau. And one of the very first speakers that I ever booked many years ago, 20 odd years ago, was Sir Ranulph Fiennes. I brought him up to the Tees Valley to a nightclub called Tall Trees, but that's another story. But I brought him up to work, just say not to perform. So we put a big dinner on in the Teesside area for for all the business community. It was a brilliant event, and Sir John Harvey Jones, if anybody remembers Sir John Harvey Jones, was the other key speaker. So when I founded the bureau this time, I went to Sir Ranulph and I asked him if he'd be a founder speaker in the bureau, which he very kindly said that he would be, which was terrific. So we now have 70 speakers in the bureau across. They work across many sectors. So we have that in there, and we also do some speaker coaching, sort of business coaching more than coaching of your actual keynote. We talk about the business of speaking. So I have a Facebook group called Step Up, Stand Out, if anybody's interested in coming in and finding out a bit more about what's involved. On the website, I do have a resource section. So there are some downloads and PDFs. If anybody wants to grab any of those, please feel free to do so.
Brilliant. Okay. Love it. Right. Thank you very much. I think there's quite a few questions in here, so I don't know if you've got time straight after this or a little bit later to hop back into the Facebook and just go through and see what people are saying, because there's a few people asking you some questions. So it'd be great if you could just reply to them and give them.
Sure, I can. Yeah, I'll do that now.
Awesome. Thank you, Hilary.
Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. See you
later. Bye. Bye.